Hey, what's up, everybody? I don't even know if I should say I've returned, but I'll say it anyway. I feel kind of awkward because I haven't made a video in so long. And I used to make videos when I was in college and I had my radio show regularly. And I'd be like, hey, it's Rob the Metal Guy. I mean, I am really still Rob the Metal Guy since now I'm living in San Ramon and there's really not that many metal people here. So I guess I'll still use that moniker. Hey, it's Rob the Metal Guy, and you're watching my YouTube channel. Anyway, moving on from that. Let's see. I was thinking about doing a vinyl update because I've got a lot of records that I've been getting over the years. I'm thinking to myself, I should probably talk about some of these and promote some of the bands, especially the new bands. Hopefully people will check them out. And also maybe talk about some albums that people haven't, come across, and maybe also talk with people that have these albums and have their thoughts on them. Kind of, share some information. So I got some records down here. Trust me, I'm putting this video together really shoddily. I've got my cat scratching post to hold up my phone. And I've got my cat looking at me right now from the bed like, what is he doing? So let's begin though with my vinyl updates. Haven't done this in a while, so if I make a complete fool of myself, mispronounce, do just some amateurish stuff, please ignore that. So let's start. First album that actually came out this year, so this is a new release, Night Demon. This is Outsider. It's their third full-length album to date. I have every single Night Demon release so far. I interviewed Jarvis Leatherby numerous times when I had my radio show in college at Sonoma State, the Hard Rock Heavy Metal Zone. I became friends with the band and Jarvis. And I've known him ever since the beginning, that 3-song EP when that came out. And I've seen him a handful of times. Some of my favorite shows when they were opening for like bands like Satan. They opened for Anvil at the DNA Lounge in San Francisco. But I really like this album, Outsider. And again, I'm not just saying it because I'm somewhat close to the band and interviewed Jarvis, so people are saying, oh, you're biased, so you probably want to promote Jarvis and talk about him and give him positive reviews. No, I'm dead serious when I say I think Night Demon is probably the best modern metal band. I mean, they definitely have the passion, the best work ethic out of all the modern metal bands that I've come across in the last, I'd say, 5 some years when it comes to their releases. Outsider especially, I think, is a really good release because they didn't just do the same damn album, which you kind of see with a lot of metal bands nowadays, especially young metal bands. They make one album and then the next one is pretty much a carbon copy. So this one, to me, they went with a little more of a concept. It's actually telling a story. I really liked it because of that. And they incorporate some elements from the previous releases, the new wave British heavy metal style, which Night Demon falls into that category, right, of a young band paying homage to the classics, taking that sound, but making it their own. There's also a little bit of punk in there too at times. But with this release, I just liked how there was some creativity with the songs, telling a story. I liked different tempos on some of them. Beyond the Grave, that's a great track off this album. They did a music video for it. Check it out. It's on YouTube. Really good and just very creative release from Night Demon. So yeah, their third full-length album to date. This is Outsider. Highly recommended if you're into the new wave British heavy metal style. Here's one all the little boys and little girls should own, and they should be blasting in their neighborhoods. It's Nocturnal Mortem, Lunar Poetry. This is a great black metal album. It's got some kind of folk metal elements in it, which is kind of cool. It adds to that pagan, sound with the black metal. Just some great riffs on this. The ambience, just a true haunting release at times. Definitely one of the best black metal albums ever recorded because just of the sound, the tone of everything from the guitar playing to like the atmospheric elements that are included on this album. It's a true impressive release. And what's cool about this album, being that they're from Ukraine, right, supporting what's going on there. This actually, as you can see, it's the yellow and blue, right, the Ukrainian colors. So I really like that when I saw the opportunity to buy this from Hell's Headbangers. Great website that has tons of metal releases, new, old, reissues. when I saw this, I was like, yes, Lunar Poetry, I must have this on vinyl. It's a great one. So taking a departure from metal, my friend Raj and I actually saw this at Rasputin's, and we were like, you know what? Joy Division live album, why not? This is Joy Division live, Preston, 20 February 1980. So this is a live performance from Preston, and this is a very interesting release. This was recorded at the Warehouse in Preston. There are not too many live Joy Division albums, so if you're a fan of Joy Division, you want to try to collect as many as you can. But I'm going to be honest about this album. When I listened to it, and people have said this when I've read their reviews, it's definitely not the greatest quality sounding Joy Division album. And some of the songs, and even towards the end of side A, there's complaints with the sound engineer and also just how everything was going. And you could tell from the audience reaction and just how everything was going with that performance. At first, the band wasn't too happy, especially when they're playing a lot of the songs that would go on closer. I felt that maybe because the way those songs were arranged, at times, like The Eternal, they didn't get what they wanted, and they were kind of miffed how it was sounding. And you also have the synthesizers and how everything is set up. I think that's where you could tell it's not I'd say the cleanest and most professional sounding performance. But when they get to side B and they start playing Shadow Play, Transmission, the early stuff, like they play Warsaw on this, which is, I love that song. Any of the early Joy Division, those are classics. Leaders of Men, that period. So when you get to that, it actually starts to get kind of, I enjoy it. Even though, again, it's rough, raw, it doesn't sound perfect. It just reminds you of like a live show. And if a band is experiencing issues, you're kind of there getting to see it and hear it. And that's why at first I heard it, I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on with them? And what's going on with the sound engineer? Who did this? Is this album, should they even put this out? But when you think of it, there's so few Joy Division albums, right? After Ian Curtis committed suicide. So to me, this is still a very special release. And I got it at a good price too at Rasputin. So I said, why not? And it was, to me, it's worth the purchase. And if you can find it, this is again, Joy Division live from Preston, February 28th, 1980. But of course they say Preston, 28th, February 1980. That's just the way they print it. See, I just say February 28th, 1980. Maybe I'm thinking too logical. Anyway, moving on. Next release. This is from Shadow Kingdom Records. I actually bought this. It's a great website too to check out if you're a vinyl collector, CD collector, rock, metal, punk. They've got a ton of great releases on Shadow Kingdom, like Hell's Headbangers. But this is Rune Magic. This album is Enter the Realm of Death. Very, very good death doom music. Really enjoyed it. I was listening to it and I was just blown away. Like when I first started listening to their music, like this band is really good, from Sweden. And which is really crazy was when I was looking at the liner notes on this, Andy LaRocque, and if you're familiar with King Diamond, of course, Andy LaRocque is just an amazing guitarist, just a true mastermind. And this was recorded, I believe, here in Sweden as well. Like, that is so cool that, Andy LaRocque is the engineer. And that was recorded May 1999. Like, wow. So this album, though, and Rune Magic, if you like death doom, a little bit of black metal elements, I'd highly recommend it. It's a really good release. But also the album cover too, I guess, if you're a fan of again, badass looking album covers, it's pretty cool. It came with a poster, which I have on my wall over there. But I just love some of the songs on this album and the lyrics too, which is really cool. You get to see the liner notes with the lyrics, and just a really overall solid sounding death doom album, which I would highly recommend. Some of the melodic death elements too. Again, Sweden, very influential in terms of death metal, the Gothenburg sound, and Rune Magic. I just love everything about this album, and that's why I was like, when I saw it on Shadow Kingdom Records, I said definitely worth the purchase. And it's on colored vinyl too, if again you want something like that. But They have, you know, the regular black vinyl as well. Just depends on your preference. To me, I'm not one of those people like I have to have a colored vinyl. Oh, that's so cool and stands out. I'll go for the black vinyl because at the end of the day, it's the music. But if the colored option's there, why not just get the colored option, right? Hey, it's if there's not a big difference in price or it's like $1 or two more, I'm not gonna, you know, throw a tantrum over the fact that, oh, I need to get the colored vinyl, or oh, I don't want the colored vinyl, because it just depends. I'm not picky. I'm a man of, you know, rather, you know, respectable taste. I don't get, you know, all pissy over stuff. Actually, that's not true. I complain about a lot of things. But when it comes to getting my vinyls, I just hope that they're not too damaged. I can actually play them. And the music, right? It's all about the music. And speaking of all about the music, one of my favorite albums all time, this is My Life with the Kill Thrill Cult, Confessions of a Knife. This is an album, if you are into industrial music, just completely chaotic, wacky sounding, late 80s, early 90s experimental music, you're going to want to get this album. They are, without a doubt, one of the most influential industrial bands. This release, when I listen to it, you hear where bands such as Marilyn Manson, the early Marilyn Manson and his band, the Spooky Kids, right? Wasn't that what he called it before he took that name out and it was all about him? Narcissist. And then Nine Inch Nails. Like, I listen to a lot of those bands and I think to myself, man, this album came out before some of that, and you can hear the influence, the sound clips, the way everything's programmed, the synthesizers, the sequence, and the bass playing on this album. There's some songs, like the bass isn't complicated, the riffs, right? But I love just the catchiness, like A Daisy Chain for Satan, Waiting for Mommy. I mean, it's like addictive. It's like disco, industrial, satanic fun. I mean, this is the band that, you know, all those Christian people back in the day were freaking out, you know, kids are going to listen to this and turn into like drug taking Satanists and stuff. This is probably the band that a lot of those people, if they heard this, their heads would have exploded, right? You would have seen like pastors, you know, passing out and, you know, their wives, you know, having to, you know, revive them with smelling salts, because this album is just pure, just sadistic, satanic, electronic fun. And if you haven't checked it out, do so. My Life with the Kill Thrill Cult, Confessions of a Knife. This is, My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, right? I gotta make sure I say that because I always mess up. If I didn't, my brain's going a little bit. I've had a long week of work, so. But no, My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, Confessions of a Knife. Check it out. Great release. So here's another new album I wanted to talk about. This is Decoherence, industrial black metal, death metal band from the UK. They're on the label Sentient Ruin. I get a lot of stuff sent to me because I do album reviews. If you want to check out my blog, the rockandmetaltemple.blogspot.com, I also have a link below. But Sentient Ruin will send me a lot of releases ahead of time, which I review and I put on the blog and I talk about. And Decoherence is a band I've been following now since their first release. And this one, without a doubt, this is one of the best. I truly love it. Everything about it is just unbelievable. And let me just pull out the album for everybody here to see, as it's really cool. It is on blue vinyl, as you can see that. This third album from Decoherence is just truly amazing. Great black and industrial music, just completely chaotic. So it's like this inhuman, just crazy kind of like soundscapes that you can, you know, put together and just like totally zone out and listen to, and very like dissonant sounding riffs. I love the dissonant riff style. Decoherence does it so well on this album and their previous albums as well. I have another Decoherence album in my collection that I you know, will probably talk about eventually if you know, I keep doing this and decide not to, you know, just say, forget it, I'm lazy. But Sentient Ruin, I have a ton of great releases from Sentient Ruin, so check it out. This is Decoherence, Disorder. So Check that from Sentient Ruin. Now we're getting into the band that I have a shirt of I'm wearing right now. Totally didn't plan this one. No, actually, I just got this shirt because I love this album so much. Christian Death, Only Theater of Pain is, man, this is like just great haunting goth rock with punk elements, new wave. I mean, just Rick Agnew is such a genius on guitar. I just love his guitar playing. I love his sounds. And speaking of it, that's why I like the next one I gotta have because I have in my collection. Throw out there, Adolescence, the Blue Album, very influential punk band from Southern California, the area down there, right? That scene. And Adolescence, great songs on this album. I mean, come on, it's classic. Kids of the Black Hole, I mean, that's one of my all-time favorites. And the guitar playing on that, Rick Agnew and his brother Frank Agnew, just super, cool guitar playing style, sound, and everything is just amazing. But this album is the ambience, the vocals by Roz, just haunting. Really good. And a lot of people, too, for some reason, know it just because of Romeo's Distress, because of the one lyric where he says the N-word and everyone gets all freaked out. But there's something behind it. There's a story. Again, if anyone wants to cry racism and cancel culture, excuse my language, or excuse my pronunciation, I'm slurring there a bit. But if anyone wants to call the whole cancel culture bull crap because of that, just shut up. It's art, it's creativity. There's a purpose behind it, poking fun, if anything, at racism, the KKK, and all that BS. Just, I kind of laugh when you see these people have reaction videos or something listening to the song, and I'm just like, dude, get over yourselves. Go do something productive. Go build a birdhouse or something. Shut up. So no, I really like this album. Besides the fact that people, for some reason, now I see there's reaction videos, and you get those goth girls on TikTok, I guess, that they listen to Christian Death, they say, and they think they're cool. They have OnlyFans pages, which that's just a bunch of bullshit. I like this because of the music. To all those stupid goth girls that have OnlyFans pages and go on TikTok saying, oh, I like Christian Death. No, you're a bunch of morons that deserves to get shot into space with one of Elon Musk's rockets, and you get disintegrated when you try to get into Mars because the spaceship was not built correctly and will get disintegrated upon entry. But anyway, moving on from that. Yeah, this is a good album. Highly recommend it. Some catchy songs on here, haunting. If you're a fan of, again, goth rock, new wave, and also has, again, that kind of punk attitude, very much recommended. And speaking of punk, another great transition here. I didn't plan this, actually. I kind of just threw it. Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers, the LAMF album. Love this release. Johnny Thunders, solid guitarist. Just one of those guitarists that he was never technical. He wasn't the, quote, most flashy guitarist, but he had a sound. He had an attitude. His playing in the New York Dolls. Then when he went solo, I mean, you listen to his solo work, the guy just has this unique sound, right? The way he just plays guitar. And the songs on this album are just amazing. I love it. Born to Lose is a classic. I mean, All by Myself is a great one too. Their cover of Chinese Rocks, right? That's a great one too. Just everything about this release is really good. And Walter Lure is also really good on this album. The songs that he sings and his guitar playing, definitely not to be overlooked. I would highly recommend Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers if you haven't heard them. Very classic punk. I definitely like them better than the Sex Pistols. No, to me, this sonically, talent-wise, Sex Pistols just were a trend in my opinion. Musically, they're just okay. Yes, influential. People like their look and the attitude, but there's so many other punk bands from that period that came around the same time or a little bit after. They're so much better in terms of the music and the albums. And this is just proof, in my opinion. Again, this is one of the best punk rock albums of all time. So check it out. Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers, LAMF. Here we go. Now we're jumping to some Norwegian power metal, speed metal. This is Art, another return. Man, what can I say about this album? It's just downright amazing. Like, if you like power metal, speed metal, truly great guitar playing. The vocals reminds me a bit of Iron Maiden. Has that kind of sound and that kind of feel to it, but then it also has that kind of edgy speed metal sound if you're into like early Halloween. Some of the early thrash metal elements you can definitely hear on this release. It came out about, I think it was 1988 or 87. It was recorded and mixed, and then came out shortly around after that. So I was close, but I just really like this album. Like, the song that I love on this is Reincarnation. There it is, Reincarnation, Shoot to Kill, Living in the Past. Probably the song that is most known that people have heard maybe from this album that people have talked about is Another Return to Church Hill. It's an epic sounding song, like I said, very much in the vein of Iron Maiden. But there's some really good songs on this album, and just it sounds really good. Very well produced. And this was actually put out as a re-release from, what is that, Hammerheart Records. Hammerheart, who is responsible for a lot of the Trouble re-releases, which I have in my collection. Hammerheart Records has done a great job with that, finding classic albums and putting them out again. There's some other bands too that I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but they've done so much, and it's great, because a lot of these albums that are out of print and hard to find, and become rarities, and people try to sell them for a ridiculous load on eBay, right? You get those people. And so when you get a label like Hammerheart that comes along, reissues, does a re-release, and you get the CD, vinyl options, it's just great for everybody. So it's a win-win there. So highly recommend this album too. The last album I'm going to show, because I'll keep it short, and I thought, you know what, I've talked probably too long, but I'm going to throw a curveball to some people, and I'm going to recommend, don't fall over. Gosh. Evangelion, finally. To all the metal people right now that want to steal my card and my, that's not metal, or you're a freaking weirdo because you shut up. Just shut up, okay? I like anime, I like manga as well. And hey, I'm not ashamed of it. I like a lot of different things. But this album right here is cool because if you're a fan of Neon Genesis Evangelion, the anime, finally is really just an awesome release because it puts together, you get the Cruel Angels Thesis, which if you're a fan of Neon Genesis Evangelion, it's the opening to the show. And my nephew, he loves it. Just like, I remember I played him that song and he said to me, he goes, this is probably the greatest intro to an anime show of all time. And I said, yeah, it is. It really is. Ever since I was a kid until now, it is honestly one of the greatest anime intros of all time. Like, I think I might have bought this just for that, but that's not true. I also love the outro, Fly Me to the Moon. And they have different versions on this, which I like. You have the Acid Bossa version. I don't know what the hell that means. It's just kind of like an alternate mix, and it still sounds really cool and creative. You got the Fly Me to the Moon, the 2020 version. And then you also have some songs from the movies that came out around Evangelion. Neon Genesis Evangelion The End. Of course, that was the movie. So they have songs that are actually tied to that. And different songs are used throughout the show and on episodes. And if you're a fan of Evangelion, and if you're just a fan of like Japanese anime scores for like shows, like, because there's some really good music for anime shows, and it's just really creative and really catchy, and kind of has that, it's like J-pop, power metal, rock feel to it. It's actually really good, and no, I really like this. And some of the songs, because again, like I said, they remind me when I watched the movie, and I like to, hey, why not? I saw they had this option when I bought it to get the color. There was like pink splattered vinyl. I was like, why not? I'm a fan of Evangelion. I'm not ashamed of it. And if all you black metal, death metal people are offended and you're going to stop, thinking on metal, go ahead. I don't give a damn. I don't need to prove anything. I don't need to prove to you people a damn thing. Actually, one more release I will show to keep myself within the metal community. I love this album. I thought I was going to talk. Gateways to Annihilation. Man, I tell you, this Steve Tucker, I love, don't get me wrong, Morbid Angel, I have all their albums, I think, pretty much. Some on vinyl, some on CD. But this album is just amazing. Summoning Redemption, those guitar parts on that song, there's just something about it. It's like psychedelic, trippy, extreme death metal, right? It has that hallucinogenic, just totally out of this world sound. Trey Azaroth, I mean, his guitar tone is, I swear, there's something about it. It just is like this evil but trippy, catchy sound that just hooks you, right? It drones on this album. There's like this kind of drone feel that just like grabs you, like whoa. And then the lead guitar playing, just the frantic style. I've always loved Trey Azaroth. He's definitely one of my favorite guitarists. But yeah, Azaroth, he's amazing. And Pete Sandoval on this is just, his drumming's amazing too as well. Just great drummer. So if you haven't checked out, this is a great classic death metal release from the 90s. Again, a little bit different sound if you've heard Altars of Madness, Blessed Are the Sick, Covenant, because you have Steve Tucker on vocals. But to me, the music after David Vincent left it's still good, and it's unique in its own nature. That's what I liked about Morbid Angel when they had that lineup change, right? You lost David Vincent and you had Steve Tucker join. Is I think it gave Morbid Angel a fresh kind of energy and sound, and the fans could hear something, and also the creativity that Trey wanted to, I think, kind of pursue as a guitarist. You get to hear that more on Formula's Fatal to the Flesh, which is in my collection, and then also Heretic, which I have on CD behind me in my CD case. But this to me was like, no, I shall get this on vinyl to add to my collection, because this is one of the best death metal albums, hands down. He Who Sleeps, To the Victor the Spoils, just some great songs on this. So check it out if you have not. Morbid Angel, Gateways to Annihilation. All right, everybody, I think I've talked enough, babbled enough, and probably pissed off enough people for a day. So if you like this video or sat through it, congratulations. Subscribe, and maybe I'll do some more, and you can follow me. And also check out the rockandmetaltemple.blogspot.com. I always review some killer bands. Tons of great new music coming, out still from great rock, metal bands, punk bands that I, check out and I want to tell people about, and I start writing and getting carried away with. And I probably should edit some of my stuff, but that's just how I am. What I like, and I hope you like it too. If you want to comment and have any more questions about some of the albums I talked about, do so. Or if you want to say that my description or some of these albums suck, go ahead. It's a free country. I don't care. Anyway, this is Rob, the Metal Guy, signing off. Later.